Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new here on this, your host here comes Untold. Sorry, there's been a delay in the video. Yeah, just been busy. I had jury duty. That was fun. That's what delayed me from posting anything yesterday. Then, dance competitions, the whole shebang. Love mom life. Anywho, so today's a continuance from my last video in which I talked about two unsolved cold cases from here in New Hampshire. I'm going to discuss another one today in this video, and then there will be a follow-up video on the fourth case that I kind of want to talk about. So last video I talked about Joan Dunham and Deborah Horn. So today's video is discussing somebody that has a connection to Deborah Horn, and we're going to be talking about Luella Blakeslee. So Luella Blakeslee was actually last seen on the 4th of July back in 1969. To kind of elaborate more, she was last seen with her boyfriend at the time, Robert Breest, which is a continuance from the Deborah Horn case, of which they were last seen leaving a bar on the 4th of July in Manchester just prior to midnight in 1969. So Blakeslee actually lived with her dad, and when her dad came home for the evening for whatever he was doing, and he saw her red Volkswagen in the driveway, which was kind of weird, but he just kind of assumed that she would be picked up by her on again, off again boyfriend, and that's why her Volkswagen was at home instead of her in it. So Luella was actually a teacher at the Dairyfield Private School in Manchester, New Hampshire, but she was also an English tutor for Deborah Horn, of which I discussed in my previous video. So kind of a little more into Luella is that in her diary, she actually wrote about Robert Breest and how she was very concerned about her relationship, how volatile the relationship was, and how in the months like after Deborah Horn's disappearance, she actually thought that he had involvement with Deborah Horn. And she expressed her concerns of his possible involvement. And she also expressed her concerns over him pushing her to try and get married. And she did not want to get married, especially to him. Like, that was in the most recent, few years, they discussed her diary openly with the public for the first time. That hasn't happened in since her disappearance and her discovery. So Luella was actually her remains were discovered, and she was deceased when they found her. She was actually found in on May 9th of 1998 in a shallow grave in Hopkinton, New Hampshire. She would be identified in November of 1998. And the whole thing with her boyfriend just screams alarm bells. He was interviewed by the police and he stated that he didn't see her that evening, but yet he was seen leaving a bar with her from Manchester. Strange? Yes. Well, like, she also was questioned by the police about the disappearance of Deborah Horn while she was at work, obviously prior to her dying or prior to her last being seen. Sorry, this is my little note sheet that I have for her. I do have some notes on my computer as well, um but yeah, it's just strange. It's super strange. This whole thing. Why he would lie about being with her, why he like would lie about not being her boyfriend, even though everybody that knew them, they knew that they had such a volatile relationship that he kept saying that that was my fiance, that's my girlfriend, yada yada yada. And Luella didn't want to be with him because of how volatile their relationship was. He was not a good fit for her. Yeah, it just also the other thing too. Remember how I told you about the murder that he was charged with? Well, or the assaults that he was charged with. Those assault charges were dropped after he was committed to New Hampshire State Hospital, and yeah, they were they were dropped after he agreed to commit himself to the state hospital. So there's also alarm bells as well. So this dude committed to the state hospital, got charges dropped for assault, is connected to two both deceased people here in New Hampshire. Um, yeah. Also was arrested in connection to another murder. And by the time he was actually arrested in connection to the other murder, he was already married with 4 kids in 1972. Luella died in 1969, so he moved pretty quickly on to the next one and got her pregnant super fast. So I don't know why it doesn't bring up any alarm bells for other people to connect him to both of these. He's obviously a person of interest in both cases, and he has been for years. But w- why the state police haven't looked into this further, I don't really know. I know there's a lot of things going on right now with Robert Breest in the news. If you haven't like looked it up, he's trying to, or they're trying to do stuff with DNA with the Susan Randall case, where he was convicted of her murder after he assaulted her and threw her off of a bridge. They found her frozen body. Yes, in the Merrimack River. If you don't know, I'll link my previous video above in a card so you can just reference that whole case. I briefly discuss it. I don't really like go into detail about it because they caught Robert Breest. Yes, but it just there's so many things that add up and don't add up about this man. And from what I've read, he's not a very nice man, like at all, at all. Like, I mean, you see him now, he looks like an innocent old dude that's just been suffering and rotting away in jail, but when you actually, like, go into the backstory of him and, like, who he knew, who he's connected to and stuff like that, it's a little funky. It's a little funky, especially when you lie about where you were, lie about seeing your girlfriend for the last time, lie about not knowing her. Say the police are harassing you when in fact they are searching your home because of 2 disappearances, technically 2 deaths. Like, obviously we couldn't confirm that Luella died until 1998 because we didn't know where her remains were. She was still just classified as a missing person until 1998, until November of 1998. And Deborah Horn, she was classified as a missing person until August of 1969. So one death, well, 1 homicide and 1 disappearance. So the whole thing is really like it really irritates me. Then the fact, like, you were dating this woman for 3 years on and off again. Why would you try and force marriage down her throat when clearly if you've been on and off, there's a disconnect of wanting to further your relationship. There's a disconnect of wanting to keep you in her life forever. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just like an unwritten thought of many people. You can't force commitment on those. You can't. Clearly, you couldn't force commitment on her. Maybe, no, possibly. Now, this is my opinion. This is all my opinion. This is not, I'm speculating right now. This is speculation. Maybe he got upset when she accused him of murdering Deborah. Maybe she finally confronted him about it and everything else in the relationship. Maybe she tried to break up with him that night. Maybe he re-proposed to her and she said no and he went mad. It's possible. It's very possible. I don't know. I have no idea. That's my thought. He has yet to actually admit anything in regards to Luella. I'm sure they've probably questioned him time and time again while he is in jail because he's in prison right now, and he has been for years. He's I believe he's trying to yeah, he's still fighting to have his case relooked at in connection to the murder of 1971. He's still trying to have that. um, relooked at because because of recent DNA testing, he believes that he is not the one that is the one that committed the crime. But anywho, that, my friends, is Luella Blakeslee. Part 3 of this. I hope you guys enjoyed, and leave your thought down below. What do you think? I will see you guys in my next one about Kathy Glotty.